everybody, and welcome back to the Lifestyle Coach podcast. So we are episode 100 today.
Oh my goodness.
And I know, and I plan to do something special, right? Like a giveaway, but then I'm like, well, this is special.
I'm not special enough.
Yeah, you're special. This is a special story. So the podcast that went out this week was on the similarities between endometriosis and perimenopause. So if you haven't listened to that and you are a woman, I think you should just listen to it and educate yourself a little bit, because pretty much I think 50% of the population is going to go through perimenopause, and it used to be 1 in 10 have endometriosis, but I think that number's actually cut to 1 in 8 now.
Wow.
I know.
It's quite significant actually to go from 1 in 10 to 1 in 8.
Yeah, it's 1 in 8 in Australia, and I'm sure it's down here as well, definitely. But today I'm going to give another trigger warning. So we're going to chat about baby loss and twin survival.
Yeah.
I'm getting it right. I don't like to get anything wrong when it comes to a very sensitive subject. So if you haven't listened to part 1, because this is part 2, you should go back and listen to episode 9 to 8, where Kara shared her fertility journey. And we kind of went up to when you were pregnant and you had the twins.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So we're just going to be picking up today where we left off. So yeah, if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to episode 9 to 8. I'll let you just reintroduce yourself. We're sharing a mic here today as well, guys, right?
I feel like I'm on the TV.
You can hold it.
Alright. Yeah, so I'm Kara. I think that's pretty obvious by now, actually. Yeah, I'm a Warrior Chic, and yeah, I'm on the podcast today to just share my story, and more so to kind of educate other people and let them know what kind of happens with baby loss, and particularly twin baby loss, because it's quite unique and that you don't hear about it anymore. So I'm hoping that I can help others, but also educate people that might go through, someone's friend, family might go through something, and then that'll help them as well.
Okay. So before Kara came on and decided I'm going to get rid of this because I don't think I need it, but before Kara came on and did the episode 9 to 8, well, not before that, but like you say, the reason you came on was to educate people. So see, before you had the boys, was there nothing out there for you?
There was. So I had been recommended groups like charities like SANS and things like that, but I always felt like it was quite difficult because there is another charity, Twins Trust, as well, but it's getting to the right people, as in the right person that has gone through the same as you, because not many people have a surviving twin. People can lose babies, but it's just very different. So I guess when I was looking, there is we actually were talking about this earlier on TikTok. There's a really lovely lady that actually I'd reached out to. So Cher, her name is, I think it's Life After Loss, her TikTok is called. So I had messaged her just to say thank you so much, because seeing her speak about her surviving twin and how it feels like, and the milestones and the loss, made me know that I could come on here with you. So I think seeing someone else being able to talk about it is really good. So I guess in answer to that was kind of a long-winded way, but I don't think there was really, until I had the boys. I didn't really know very much about it or know anyone else in that circumstance.
Okay. The one thing about Kara, and I feel like when we're together, you can see that she just laughs. Now, that was the thing I noticed when I watched episode 98 back, because I think it just shows how resilient you are.
Oh, thank you.
It's not a funny topic, but like, we're smiling, we're talking about it in a good way. And I guess it's similar to what I try and do with Endo. It's like, you kind of want to share that it's not all doom and gloom. It is doom and gloom, but it's at the time.
I think when I was listening, I listened to when Cher on TikTok listened. I'm really hoping I'm saying her name correctly, because that would be really terrible.
I know, we should have looked up beforehand, but it's fine.
But when she actually made a video the other day just to say that, she didn't name me, but she said, I love the girls that reached out, and she said, the main thing she said was, you owe it to your loved ones that have passed away to live your life the way that you would have wanted them to, because they've not had that opportunity. And I thought that was really nice, beautiful. The way she put that, because that's totally the way I think. The whole part of doing this is because Logan's not had the opportunity to be here, so and we need to spread awareness, and it's all for him. Me too, but it's all for him. The main thing that has come out of this. So yeah.
Okay, you ready to dive in?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to pick up from you had the boys and then
So I guess probably what the main thing to say here is, because I don't think I spoke about this last time though, I didn't know how common baby loss was.
Okay.
And to put it into perspective, after the C-section and when their boys were born and I went back to my room, I was in the room that I wasn't supposed to be in this room. There's a room in the hospital called a bereavement room, and we had seen it beforehand. We knew like there was a bed for Andrew, we could spend time with Logan and Aaron together. That room was full and the backup room was full, which meant we were just in a normal room in the labour ward. So
that means that 3 people at least.
Yeah, that weekend there had been 2 people that had lost a baby, and then we were going to be the third one on the Monday when we were in there, which to me made me think, God, this is more significant than you think, because I just didn't know. I hadn't really experienced. I have another friend who has gone through baby loss that, she's really quite supportive, and as soon as she knew what had happened, she reached out to me. But I didn't know, apart from my other friend, I didn't really know how common that was to be in that situation.
I guess that's similar to me. It's like I do know a couple of people, but like over the last, so one of them actually being my cousin, who would have been the same age as my brother now, so like 35ish, and one other person I knew, but it's obviously really common.
Yeah, it really is. And the more you speak to, so, going to baby classes and things now, there is other people that are in, a situation that have gone through baby loss, and it's not until I know I'm skipping forward here, but the baby sensory that I go to, I have to give her a shout out. She shared the last podcast. She's called Carried Away Play. So if anyone is looking for a baby sensory class in East Kilbride or Newton Mearns, then go to her. She at the end of her session, she says that this is the time for the parents to speak, and she goes round everyone and says, how's your week been? And that is just like, it's so, like, you don't realise you need it until you go round the group and you're like, I was up last night, or we're teething, and you're going through the weaning stage and you just realise that you need to talk to one another.
So did it get explained to you when you were put into that room, like why you were there?
No, do you know, before the C-section I'd gone into, actually, and I said to Andrew, being with numbers, I was like, this is roommate, this is the wrong room, this is roommate, do you think we're in here until we go to the C-section and then we're going to the bereavement room? And
so they put you in that room before?
They did like all my kind of checks in there before, actually. But I didn't, until I kind of asked the question, until the bereavement midwife came in, because I think I'd said this before, that there was you get 2 midwives when you have twins. So I had a midwife and then a bereavement midwife, obviously. And she came in and I said, I think we're in the wrong room, and she said no, and she explained that there had been, losses, and, it was quite, that wasn't normal for both rooms, the backup room as well. So, so I was thinking back actually to before I came on here, and I was like, I didn't see Logan until the 2nd day. So I had the boys on the Monday, and I didn't actually see him until the Tuesday. And that seems really horrible in my head now when I'm saying it, but I was the afternoon C-section. By the time I got the C-section done, back to the room, you hadn't eaten all day, you had Aaron, and they were trying to do all the checks on Aaron and explain things, and also in the nicest possible way as well. You can't move, you're literally, you've got a catheter in, you all this sort of stuff. And I think it was maybe about say 8-9 o'clock at night or something, and Andrew said, I don't think this is when we want, it's not the time, we want to be ready and prepared to see him. But what I do remember from it though is, and oh my God, these midwives are just absolutely amazing. She said, right, she'd said, have you got your big pants with you? And I was like, oh yeah, I've got those, the kind of, you see them on TV, always discreet or whatever. And she went, they're the best ones, right? And she was like, right, hang on to my shoulders and I'll help you get ready, into your nightie and stuff like that. And I was thinking, why is she asking me to hold on to her shoulders, And then I was like, oh, right, I understand now, you can't move. You just
they're literally slicing through muscles, Kara.
I know, but even that was she was they were doing all that kind of you feel your toes, and I was like, I can't feel my toes, Andrew. And it was all just kind of coming back as well. So yeah, Andrew got that too. So I remember her saying to me, and Logan's next door and he's okay. They kept repeating and saying he was okay, which made me feel, probably talking about this, the reason that I didn't see him on the Monday was because I felt comfortable that they were looking after him, do you know, and they knew where he was and he was comfy.
Do you know, I have the fear. I just have the fear. Oh, we're good. We're recording. Sorry, if anybody did listen to watch episode 98, so far we had a few technical difficulties and I was paranoid about the camera cutting off again, so it's fine. We're using a different one, so hopefully we're alright. So they look after him.
Yeah, so he was all in his wee mosey basket tucked up, and I remember I said I'm so upset though, because, you know, the doctor had said beforehand, and, you know, the bereavement midwife, they might not be able to get hands and footprints, and that's the one thing that Andrew and I wanted. We wanted to, like, treasure them. And she said, I'm gonna go and see Logan just now. Now you're all organised, because she was even doing, like, you think you know about babies and you don't at all. Do you know, she was like, do you know how to put a nappy on? No.
But you don't
like,
know
this is what you've got to do.
it.
And I remember just, like, I was in the bed, like, watching Andrew do it, basically, because, like, the feelings still hadn't come back. And, like, right, what have you got for him to wear? And I was thinking, this is a tiny baby outfit that doesn't, like, baby grown, it doesn't even fit. Anyway, she'd done all that, and then she said, right, I'm going to go and see Logan. She said, I'll see if I can get handprints and footprints for you. So she came back later on to check me, and she went, I've got handprints and footprints for you. I was determined. Nice. And I remember, like, she'd, like, it was like in a wee card, and she had the handprints and footprints. She's written his name, because she said, at that point, I don't know if we had, no, we did have Logan's name, because Aaron was nameless the first day. Like, we hadn't named him, because there was a few names.
Wow, alright, okay.
So, but I said, no, he's going to be called Logan, and she'd written, like, Logan Grant, and there's a wee certificate, you know, they'd written, like, when he was born and his weight and things like that. So she was really lovely, you know, and, you know, that way she went off her shift, and I felt like, I would have just liked to have said, you know,
have you never seen her again?
No, because that was hard, because she'd been, like, you know, they're on for so many days and then they're off again. So if this podcast reaches you, I really appreciated when you
could probably go back in and find out who she was or something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I know. So
she was just doing her job though as well. But
she was, but that has her helping me has, like, you know, stayed
with me. It's a big part of your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I guess also as well, this just shows how torn you are between, like, the love you have for your new baby and then the love you have for your baby that's passed away, but you don't know what to do for the best, because in that situation, when I was thinking about coming on here and sharing this bit, I thought, God, that sounds awful that I didn't see one of my babies until, like, the next day, but it just didn't feel right. I don't think
it does sound awful, just because I've obviously different things, been through a few traumatic things in the last kind of 3 years, and I think both times, well, 3 times, but 2 out of the 3 times I responded with somebody I didn't know, as in, like, I would never have thought I would have responded like that, but when you're in absolute shock and grief and all of these things, it's fight or flight, you don't know how you're going to respond, do you know what I mean?
So true, I know.
Like, it's also what you need to remember, it's the first time you're going through that, hopefully never again, but, like, when it's the first time we go through something, we put an expectation on ourselves, like, you'd planned that out. You can't plan that.
Yeah. And I remember as well, like, so see the day that the boys were born, and I was like, Mum, I don't know, like, what happens if I want to see Logan on my own, and what happens this and that and the next thing. And do you know, my mum and dad sat in the cafe the whole time, just in case they were needed, just in case, like, I need someone to take Aaron, because the midwives can't take them, because they're, like, working, and they just sat there the whole day, they wanted just to know when they were born, you know, and like that just shows the love you have for your child, because they literally sat in that cafe, that Coke cafe at the front, you know, that one at the front of when you walk into the hospital. So yeah, it's just, so on the second day, I guess, in the morning we'd said, like, so we had breakfast and everything, and then we'd said, right, we're going to go see Logan now, and the midwife brought him in, and she said, now remember, because they kind of explain to you how your baby's going to look, but until you see your baby, you don't, when a baby passes away, they've lost their blood supply, so they're not growing to the same rate as your other twin has, and also as well, because of that, they change shape and they change, like, their skin changes, and
they're starting to kind of get squashed, aren't they?
Yeah,
if I'm right in saying that.
Yeah, they did, and that's the way they described it in the hospital as well, because Aaron was growing, and he was kind of, stuck in the same place, and he didn't move the way he was supposed to move. I think I was saying that last time, he was supposed to move up and he didn't, so he was kind of getting a bit flatter. But when I saw him, it was just this overwhelming like love you have, because it's still your baby, do you know? And we've got pictures of that day of like Andrew holding him, me holding him, and then we'd said that that's fine, like Logan can go back after a period of time, do you know, we've seen Logan. And I think we had in our heads that once you said that you'd seen your baby and you were happy, that then he would go, because Logan was going for a post-mortem. We'd already agreed that before like we'd had the boys, because we wanted to know, they'd said, you know, something might come up which tells us there was a problem, and 50% of the time basically, and that would help for other pregnancies going forward. So we felt like that was, you know, if we did choose to have another baby, that would help. So we just thought that he was going away, and I think for Andrew that would have been like, he had his special time with him and he would have been happy. But I was in hospital for 5 days, and on the Thursday, because Aaron was jaundiced and he was also premature, that they like to check on them every day as well. So I remember getting to the Thursday and the neonatal doctor came down again and said, no, he's doing really well, he's not like at the level of jaundice isn't, they would have to do something, you know, they can do with the lights and things like that, so they didn't have to do any of that. And I remember her coming in and I said, so what's the plan? Because see, by the 4th day in the hospital, you're kind of thinking, right, okay, do you know
get him all in bed or whatever.
So when she came in, she said, well, are you okay to go home? Because I was on the labour ward the whole time. I guess that's the part of it that the labour ward aren't used to having somebody, they're used to women coming in and having the babies and then they go to the postnatal ward, you know, and so they're not used to it. So by the Thursday I could really see like someone
they're
came
like,
in,
what do we do here?
and someone came in to ask me, it must have been a very busy day on the Thursday in the labour ward, someone came in to ask me what I wanted for breakfast, and then I never saw anybody until like maybe like 3-4 o'clock, something like that. And that's not normal, like they're supposed to come in and check you. And Andrew did say it was like very chaotic outside, and actually there was a programme on last week about midwifery, do you know, and it was like a panorama, and like babies had passed away, like women had passed away, and it's because they're so short staffed. And I could kind of see it from watching it. I mean, I can't like compare myself to any of those women because I had like a good outcome for me, like I had the best of care, but I can see why from that day in the hospital, like what happened. So anyway, the midwife that was kind of in charge, I don't know whether she kind of panicked because she thought nobody's seen you, and she came in, she spent an awful lot of time with us, was trying to discharge us. But I think I went into full panic mode at that point, because I thought, hang on a minute here, I'm leaving Logan and I'm not going home with him. And it must have been because she checked my blood pressure and it was through the roof, do you know, and she said, if we let you out just now, Kara, your midwife will come tomorrow and you'll be straight back in here, because if your blood pressure's still high, like they can't do anything else in the community, so all they can do is send you back.
So had you not thought that far ahead?
No, I think I was just living in the moment. I think in my head when I had said that Logan could go on the Tuesday, I think in my head I was thinking, but he's here, so I'll be able to see him again. But when I go home, I wouldn't have been able to see him again. So actually blood pressure being really high was a blessing in itself, because on the Thursday Thursday night we spent a lot of time with Logan again, and I asked for him back in because I was like, I can't do this, I just can't. And at that moment in time, that's when it got like, I felt as if that was the hardest part of this whole pregnancy and journey. That was it over after that night had happened, because I had said my goodbyes to him. But I got him back in, but actually it wasn't, because that was the start of it, to know of it being so hard, which we'll go on and speak about. But so I got him back in on the Thursday, and I think Andrew was quite, you'll notice I said Aaron there. I'm realising that when you call your baby with the same letter as your husband, it's quite difficult, because I shout Aaron or Andrew, and then I think, oh, in the house you'll be like, Aaron, and then I think, oh, you're right beside me, but you're actually shouting Andrew. I think when we decided to bring him back in, Andrew was quite, he was like, oh, I don't think we should put them together and take a picture, but I did, because I put Logan in the cot with Aaron.
That's funny, I had that question. I was going to ask that. Did you have them together?
And I said, Andrew, they're meant to be together. They were in the womb together. And what you've got to remember is, like, on the ultrasounds, you know, there's a thin line in between the two of them, but I could see Logan kicking Aaron in the head, and then vice versa. Do you know, they've been together, so they've got this connection.
So they didn't see each other the first time. So when you seen Logan the first time, was it just Logan?
Aaron was in the room in his wee cot sleeping, but they weren't. I didn't put them together. So I held them both. Do you know, I held them both together like I had, and you know, Aaron was so content when I held them both together, and I think he just knew that was his brother. Do you know? And
he'll always have that. I believe that twins have that connection. So like, he'll always know there's something or feel something's missing.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm so, like, we talk about Logan a lot. Do you know, like, we say night to Logan at night time. Do you know, we've got,
I still say good morning and good night to Kai.
I think it's really important.
I just don't think I'll ever stop saying it. And my dad thinks that's because I've got his ashes and stuff in a wee box, and I got my wee nice one made, and it's sitting on a set of drawers in my room. But I'm like he thinks that's not good for me. But I'm like,
I think it's the opposite. Yeah. And I think, like, you've got to, like, it helps you.
Yeah.
It's even like, you don't realise how much it affects your family as well. Like, we've got loganberry plants in the garden, and so is my mum and dad. And my dad says, don't tell anybody, but I talk to Logan every morning. I go out and I speak to him and say hello. And you know, it's massive.
But I also know that Claire does this with Ali as well. So it's like, it is obviously, maybe it's a mother thing. Well, you've just said your dad as well. But maybe it's a mother thing.
So
God, I just called myself a mother.
Yeah.
A dog mother.
But it's true, it's your baby.
I know.
Yeah, so when we had him in, I'll never, like, I've treasured the fact that, and that is a big thing. I always remember Sandra's been on the podcast before, which Sandra has been, and I spoke to her a lot when I was going through my IVF. Like, we went for a walk, and I remember her telling me that her line that she won't, like, cross is that she doesn't go to baby showers, and that is her thing. Her friends all know, and my thing is, I can't hold two babies. I cannot hold two babies, because the last time I held two babies was my boys, and that's just my thing, and all my friends know that, and you know that they're supportive of it. So that day as well, so I think as well, they hadn't really done a lot with the memory boxes in the hospital either on the Tuesday, because I think they were just so short staffed. So when you do lose a baby, you get given a box. So all the charities kind of set this up, and there's different things that they have that you can do, like clay hand prints and footprints, but Logan was just so tiny that they couldn't do any of that. But I've got that they sent me home with it so Aaron could do it. So I've done it for Aaron, and he's got it. But the thing that was in the box was, I remember the midwives coming in and saying, we've put 2 teddy bears in your box because we thought it would be quite nice if you put a teddy bear, like, in Logan's Mosey's basket and then a teddy bear in Aaron's cot, and then we'll switch them when you decide that you're happy for Logan to go back. And I was like, oh my God, that's really, really nice. So that's what happens. It's
probably something I've never ever thought of.
No, and I'm so glad that they did suggest that. So every night since Aaron has been born, he's slept with Logan Bear, we call him, and it's a wee teddy that someone's obviously knitted for the memory box. And Logan was cremated with Aaron's bear, and the two of them, so I just feel as if the two of them are connected through that as well, and we call that wee teddy Logan Bear. And I used to think at the start, like, it's quite hard when you have a baby, it's all don't do this and don't do that and this, that and the next thing. And I remember saying to my wife, I can't not take that bear out the Moses basket, and she went, we tell you all this, but it's up to you, you're parents, you can do what you want. And you've got a tiny wee bear at the foot of the cot, and that's significant, and it's, like, sentimental to you, and it, Aaron and Logan are linked, so you don't feel guilty that you've got that there.
There's no right and wrongs, that's the thing, and I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to, is this the right thing? Is, like, do you know what I mean? But it's like, who says what's the right thing?
Yeah, there's no,
it's not. It has to be for what's right for you.
Yeah, it's, like, personal.
But in the time as well, because you could go back, and I think Would I go back and change, like that night Kai died? Yes, for me, but I still think it was the best thing for him.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, do you know what I mean? You're always going to play these things over and over and over.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't actually think, now looking back, I probably would have maybe just spent more time with him, just had him in the room, because they have a cold cot that they can, so it's basically when your baby passes, and that's what he was in, so he could have been in my room, but the problem was, because I think if I had been in the bereavement suite, in the bereavement room in the hospital, that would have happened, because we would have had more space, you know, and just more time to spend. But when I got to the Thursday and I was seeing him again, I remember saying to Andrew, why can't we just take him home? Like, why? I just wanted to take him home, and I was like, but I can't take him home. I know I can't take him home, because he needs to go and get his postmortem, and then he needs to go to the funeral directors, and that's just life. That's just what has to happen. But if I would have just sneaked him in my bag if I could have done, do you know, like
sneaked him in your bag.
I would have done, do you know, I was just like, why can't I just take him and take care of him? But that just can't happen.
So see, was he in this cold basket all the time? And I take it, so when you seen him then for the second, the third time, he hadn't changed?
No,
okay.
He hadn't. So yeah, and on the last night, I remember they brought him through and they didn't have him in the cold cot, because I think, like, at that point they knew that, you know what, we weren't going to see him again.
I think that's next door. And there, it's fine.
But I think the next part was like the hardest part, because I remember buzzing, because Andrew said, what are we going to do? And I said, he needs to go now. And I'll probably start crying at this point, because it's sad.
Okay. It's all sad.
Yeah, but I said, I think he needs to go now. And I remember cuddling him and saying that his gran in heaven was there. That was my granny, and she was going to look after him. And I remember vividly saying to him, you know, she's not very good with directions, and you might have to shout to try and get her, because you'd always like, and that was like with me. I said, you might need to shout, because she might not find you. She was always like, this goes back, because you were always driving the car, and she'd be like, where are you? What colour is your car? And you think, oh my goodness, I've spent every weekend I spend with, you know. So that was like one of the things that I was telling him. I always remember he was just in his wee basket, and he was in his wee knitted like pouch that like my mum had made and everything, and this lovely healthcare assistant came in, and honestly I wish I actually, when I get to the stage where I think I can go back, I really hope I can find her again, because she came in. And I remember she just came over to him, and the tears were just flooding down, because I thought, like, this is it now, that this is him going. And she just came over and she wiped my tears, she wiped my face, and she just gave me a cuddle, and she said, oh pet, you're okay, you really are okay. And then she said to me, I'll always remember this, she said to me, can I see him? I said, yeah, you can see him. And she turned to me and she said, he's beautiful. And that stayed with me, because nobody got to say that he was beautiful, because only Andrew and I saw him. And nobody came into the house, nobody held him, nobody said he was lovely, nobody said he was beautiful. And just for her to say that in that moment was just like, it'll live with me forever. So yeah, and then he went away, and then the next day we came home. But I honestly thought in that moment in time that was the hardest bit was over. And that was, I had drawn a line, and you know, I'd lost a baby, and it was the worst day of our lives, you know, and that was it. And I didn't realise like what was ahead and how hard it was going to be, and will continue to be going forward.
So do you no longer see that as being the hardest time?
No, because I came out of the hospital, and I guess everybody's got that picture of your partner, your husband, walking out of the hospital with the baby, right?
Yeah. Like,
because they're walking ahead of you thinking, why are you going so slow? And you're literally like, I've just given birth, you know, I'm actually walking along. And I remember thinking, oh my God, there should be two. Andrew should have 2 car seats.
Did you take a
There's only
picture?
one. I did take a picture, because I thought it's a moment for him, so I did. And then I got outside, and I'm standing. But actually, it was really annoying, because we had a great space. When we got there on the Monday, we had a great space in the maternity car park. Like, it was literally, you drove into it and it was great. And on the Thursday, when I was meant to be getting out, I had said no to dinner, because I was like, oh, I'm getting out, it's fine. And then I didn't actually get out, so Andrew had to go and get something for dinner. And he came back and he was like, that space in the maternity unit was gone. So I had to stand outside But I couldn't lift Aaron in the car seat.
He stayed there the whole time, Andrew?
He stayed every night, but he went home. Like, I remember he got to the Wednesday and I said, Andrew, you can't. It was like a chair, but it kind of sandwiched out like that, and so he could sleep on it, but he was having no sleep. And also the labour ward's not really a place where you get a lot of sleep. It's not.
The hospital's not quiet.
No.
Do you know the times I've been in hospital, whether it's been surgery or for other procedures and stuff, and it's like, oh, just relax and get a good night's sleep, and people are pure buzzing about and you're like, this is not relaxing.
And then that last night in the hospital, because my blood pressure was high, she was like, I just need to come back in 4 hours, and she was like, it's just me, Kara, because actually the night, I'm very, very glad, like, my midwife that I had on the Tuesday, she came back on the Thursday night, and she was the one that the healthcare assistant said, right, I'm going to go and get Iona, do you know, and she'll take Logan away and things. And I'm so glad, because she'd just been there like throughout it all, and it was just lovely for her to come back on. And I remember her saying, does that light not go off? Because we were getting ready to go to sleep. I was like, no, it doesn't go off. And she was like, do you know what? Like, someone else came into the room and she went, do you know what, that I've been here like 11 years and that light's like permanently been on. Do you know what, see, if we're going to ask you for feedback at the end of this, and see, can you just go on and say your light never went off?
How annoying.
Oh, it was.
I need an eye mask.
I know, because it was buzzing over the top of me as well. It was like one of those old lights. So anyway. So, yeah, so I remember standing outside the maternity bit, and Aaron was just like in his car seat on the ground, and while Andrew went to get the car, and I remember thinking, there's cigarette ends all over like here, and I've just like placed a baby there. But what else can you do, because you're literally like, you've been, but
it's not like you've just put him on the floor. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's rolling about and fagged out.
You know that way you panic as well, because you're like, oh my god, he's not supposed to be around smoking. I've just put him on the floor beside all the cigarette ends. But anyway, so that was fine, but and I got in the car, and I was fine. You know, you're taking pictures because you're thinking, oh, it's like your first time in the car. And then I remember, and this is the point in time, I vividly remember it, because I can't drive down that street anymore, and that's one of the things that I'm working on the counsellor with, is I got to Sainsbury's Muir End on the way home, and the tears just came down my face, and I was just, because I was sitting in Logan's seat, because I'd sat in the back with Aaron, and that should have been where the car seat was. I just remember thinking, oh my god. So that was the start of me really realising, and I don't think I realised at that point, but looking back, that was the start of every milestone that we hit is going to come with a high, but it's going to come with a low, because there's someone missing. That's
what I always said, like, and we spoke about it before you even had the boys, and it's like, the day that should be the happiest day of your life is going to be the happiest, but also
the saddest. Yeah. It was, because it's to me, that's the worst thing that could ever happen to me, is to like lose a baby, lose a child. So almost in a way you can turn it on its head as well, because you're kind of like, right, well, I can take on anything now because I've done that, but it's still sad, it's still really hard, and then obviously as well you get to like, I remember my mum warning me as well that you get to like the 3-4 day like postnatal blues, you have a dip, like it's just known, isn't it, that you're gonna have a dip. And I remember we got back, and like within 20 minutes or something, the house was like, there was stuff everywhere. And I remember my mum she was dropping off like milk or something like that, and she said, now remember, I'm here if you need me, but you know, I want you to get used to being a family and everything, but just phone if you need me. And I remember on the Friday night, they give you ready-made bottles in the hospital to feed Aaron, right? And I remember on the Friday night, I was like, oh God, Mum bought us those ready-made bottles to like continue with, so that we wouldn't have to make up like the formula with the water and everything. And I was like, we've gone through them, because they say you're so paranoid at the start. Now I wouldn't even think twice about this, but you're not supposed to, if the baby started feeding, then you're not supposed to use that bottle again if it's not within the same hour. So literally I was like, and babies feed like really, like you're feeding them all the time when they're first born. So the 6 in a box that felt like loads that my mum had bought and put in the kitchen was really not very much. So I remember Andrew like saying, right, I'll go to Morrison's, and then he went to Morrison's to try and get them, and because the brand packaging had changed, he was like, they've not got them, I'll need to go to Tesco. Oh my god, Tesco haven't got them. And he was like, all the shops are shut. Oh my god. And I was like, listen, it's fine, we'll just try and work out how to do a bottle. And actually, we were fine. We had like, we made the bottle and it was fine.
It was fine.
But in our head, we had like made that into a big thing. But also as well, like, it's like every kind of 2 hours you're up, aren't you? When they're wee. And I remember, like, we'd sorted the room and I said, right, what we'll do is we'll bring like the changing mat up and put it on my chest of drawers so that we don't have to. My room's upstairs because we're in a bungalow, so it is the room's upstairs. And then the Moses basket and everything. And I was like, right, we'll do that. And then I remember just waking up and like the midwife that was in charge that saw me on the Thursday. I remember her saying to me, "He looks really all cozy, like swaddled. You could do that when you get home with him, and that blanket that we have in the hospital, you get that in your baby box. So you could use that." So I was like, she said that I should swaddle him and that.
Aye, that's the way it should be.
Right?
No other way.
Never mind that, you know, my mum had knitted all these lovely blankets that were like 100% cotton, all the rest of it, and that one in the baby box is like polyester. And why would you put your baby in that,
That's
right?
what you used to get.
So I remember he was just like screaming. Adam was just screaming and screaming. It was like in the middle of the night, and I remember just being like, and I think I probably hit that like, you know, 4-day blues day or whatever. And I remember just going, "Oh my God, Andrew!" And I was like, "There's only one Moses basket." And he was like, What do you mean? What do you mean? And I said, "Well, there shouldn't, because in my head there should have been a Moses basket on the other side of the room because we were gonna have 2." So that was just like, I always remember that day. And I remember telling my mum about it the next day because I lasted until the next day and I was like, "Mum, there's stuff everywhere and I need to wash stuff and blah blah blah." And she was like, "I'll be round." And I remember her saying, "Why did you not phone me last night?" And I said, "Because it was 3 o'clock in the morning." She went, "It doesn't matter. I said you could phone me anytime." So she then told me that actually, she said she lasted 2 days when she got out of hospital with me, and then my granny and my cousin came round and stayed. So you have to, that's when I realised you have to make use of the village around you. And that's probably my top mum tip throughout all of this is, if you've got support around you and you're not taking it, take it, because you're only being a martyr to yourself.
I know, 100%. Julie, Lyle, are you listening?
She's gonna love us for that. So I guess it was kind of like, we went into this kind of like newborn kind of bubble, but what really struck me was people were then sending me gifts and giving me gifts for Alan and things like that.
Sorry, this makes me very angry.
Yeah. And
probably gives you a different emotion, but not the gifts, by the way, guys. Send gifts. What's to come?
So people didn't mention Logan, and what I would say is, I would caveat here, if you did do this, like, please don't take it the wrong way when I'm saying this.
No, because what we've spoke about is that people don't know. No. People don't know the right thing to do, and I'm forever saying to Kara, even now, like, how long's it been? And I'm like, was that the right thing? Should I say that? Yeah. If I say it wrong, let me know. Because you don't know, but I think, like, that's why you're doing this.
Yeah, to educate and just people. Tell people about it. Because people were sending cards and they were sending gifts, and I was like, why is nobody writing about Logan? Why does that card not say to Aaron and Logan? Like, I don't understand, because I had 2. But there was people that did, and I always remember, I was out with my friend on Wednesday, and every time I meet her, I think I've told her about how, like, when she asked me how I'm getting on, do you know, and I say, oh, do you know, like, there was a bit of high and a bit of low, and I was like, but I'll never forget, do you know, that day that you sent me your gift. And I remember there was a parcel at the door, and we kind of walked in, and then I opened it, and I was like, oh. And actually what my friend did get me was, it's called like a star wrap, and it's great. Like, the babies go in them, they look like Maggie Simpson, right? Their legs are like this, right? And it's brilliant. Like, the one thing, if you're going to invest in anything as a mum, like, in the winter, it's great. You can just throw them in and put them in the car seat. So she got me that because that's what someone had given her. But then I was like, oh, there's 2 cards, and I opened the card, and it was this beautiful, beautiful card with a lovely poem on the front of it, all about, and she'd written to Logan, you know, and these lovely words, and it was all about your baby in heaven and stuff. And I thought, oh my God. And I remember speaking to her after, and she went, I couldn't have picked the card for Aaron and not picked the card for Logan. It was just, I couldn't have done it.
And then I think you've got the opposite of that, where I didn't get you a card because I was like, what do you do here? Yeah. And we spoke about this, it's like, now in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I would have given you a card for both of them. But I'd have done that separately. Yeah. But at the time, I was like, I can't give Aaron and you something and not acknowledge Logan, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's fine, but you acknowledge the fact that, do you know, you were worried about it. Julie did the exact same thing. Julie's off again. I remember meeting Julie after they were born, and she said, there's no card in there because I just didn't know what card to pick. I didn't know what to write, and I didn't know what to say. And I thought, actually, you saying that means a lot, because actually, let's talk about that day that I met Julie, right? Because this is just, you know, when things are meant to be. I met Julie for a walk, and she was telling me all about her friend that had lost a baby and how she felt and the things that she does. Because at that point, it was kind of like, you know, I've got this loganberry plant and blah blah blah. And Julie was saying, yeah, but you'll be able to teach her. And like, Julie's got 4 kids, so she knows like what you could do with them. And she was like, you can get my wee watering can. He could water the plant and blah blah. And I was like, I didn't even think of that. So I remember walking along and with the pram, she went, you're not going to believe this. And I went, what?
And you bumped into her, didn't you?
That's my friend walking towards me last week. So we stood and we talked, and I was like, it's funny how things just happen and they're meant to be. So yeah, the people that did write something on a card, actually, one of the an officer in the BB and one of the officers there, what him and his wife did was they put money. I thought when I opened his gift, like there was a card in it and a book for Aaron, but when I opened the other card, it was a card for Logan, and it said, please put like this money to a charity of your choice in memory of Logan. And I was like, that's a really lovely
really
thing
nice
to do.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a nice thing, because when a baby passes away, you don't really know what to do, but that's a really good way of giving back as well, because someone else is going to get support from a charity. So yeah, and other people, like my mum's friend, she got me an elephant, and it's got Logan's name on it, and it says something like, I carried you for every day of your life and you'll always be in my heart forevermore, do you know, something like that. So just wee things like that really helped. And just even see if some people did mention him on the card. I've kept all them and put it in his memory box because it was a big milestone. So yeah, that really.
But the ones that didn't mention him, that's kind of what you're wanting to address here. Not the people, but just not mentioning him was that played a big part, and that really affected you.
It did, because I just kept thinking, I've had 2 babies, but people aren't acknowledging the other baby. And I've spoken to actually a few weeks ago at the baby class, I did speak to another mum that had lost a baby, and she's got 4 kids now. Well, she's got 5 kids. For her 5th was her baby after, you know, she'd lost her other baby. And she said sometimes she feels like it was the people that didn't say anything that hurt the most, because if they just said, or even like the small things. I know my mum's got a friend as well that, like, she works in the library, and I walked into the library to take Anne to book club, and she just came over and gave me a cuddle, and she said, I don't know what to say, but I've just given you a cuddle.
I know, but we spoke about this before, where I said I think people are not comfortable, like they're not comfortable in themselves, right? So they don't know themselves well enough, so they don't know how to say something. But people are also not comfortable saying when they don't know. So like, I'll say to you, I don't know what to do here, or is this the right way? Because I'm fine with that. I'm fine with not knowing everything and not knowing the right thing. But people are not comfortable with that.
Yeah. And you know, from sharing my story, I think it has, and this is why I really wanted to do the podcast, was one of my friends, and she'll listen to this podcast when she's listened to the first one, she messaged me the other day and said she had a colleague in work who'd lost a baby, and she said, what would you have wanted me to say to you at that point in time so that I know what to say to her? And I thought, oh my god, that really like made me think I'm doing the right thing here, because this is spreading awareness. People are coming to me to say, and it might not, what I wanted might not be the same as other people, but at least I can say, well, what I wanted was just to, and just see even the people that just said, it wasn't even asking me how I was, but saying, you're doing well, you're doing great, you know, just to recognise that actually, you know, on your low days you're still going and you are doing a good job type thing. And I did direct her stands. I've got a brilliant thing on their Facebook page actually, and it was saying, it was giving you things that people have said to you, like, oh, but it's okay because you've got another baby, or, you know.
I remember when Kai died, he was literally dead about 3 days, and somebody's like, so you getting another dog? And I'm like, huh? Yeah. And I know that if you're not a dog person, that's fine, but I don't have children, so my dogs are my babies, and they always will be, and that's hard.
Totally. absolutely. And it's and that's not what you want to hear. It's like,
I mean, it's been over a year now and I've still not, and actually I said to my dad, like, I still feel like I would be replacing him right now. And I know that I'm not replacing him, and I wouldn't be getting another dog with that intention, but I've obviously just not passed that point yet.
You have
I know I will eventually, especially for Lexi. But I think it's not.
But it's really difficult because you have to, and also as well, probably at the moment you're feeling like you want to be there for Lexi, do you know, and give her time, like all your time, do you know, because if you do have another dog, then it will be split as well.
It is. But I think, like, just putting all of this out there is just to help people be more aware of what. Just take a wee minute. If you don't know what to say, just take a wee minute and think about it. Or say you don't know what to say.
Because it's even like, I remember when my mum's friend had bought me that elephant, you know, with Logan's name or whatever. She'd obviously bought something for Aaron as well. And she said to my mum, can you open that and check whether you think that will be okay for Kara? And I thought, actually, that's a really good thing for her, way for her to do it, because she obviously wanted to do something, but she wanted to check it was right. So yeah, I think just checking in with the person and making sure, like, say, just asking, like you say, just say, what's the right thing to do here? And, you know, just always making sure that you're not just doing what you think, because what you think, if you've not been through it, I think if you've not been through baby loss, what you think might not land in the right way. And lots of people, it's very difficult as well, because I've been at a family thing recently where it just doesn't land correctly. I remember speaking to the counsellor about it, and it's really daft. Like, the Pampers nappies were on special at £3.50, which is really unheard of because they're £8.70 or something in the shops at the moment, right? So I had bought them all, and I went down at about like 9 o'clock or something. Once I'd put Aaron to bed, I was like, right, I'm gonna go down. It's wet. It's just come out. I'll see if there's any left. I remember going to the first Morrison's, and there was only 2 packets, and I thought, shall I just go down to Newlands? Maybe I can go and get some there. And I remember seeing them, and I thought, oh God, well, I think I'll just put all them in my trolley. But I felt guilty because I was like, what happens if there's someone else in the shop that needs these? And Anna was like, well, realistically, the shop was going to close in like 10 minutes, you know, and you need them, do you know? And someone said to me recently, oh, you could have just said you were buying for twins. And I was like, but that's what I want to plan for. And do you understand that that's not landed in the right way, do you know?
Does this person know that you had twins? Okay.
So,
because you're probably going to come up against things like that in life from people that don't know.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Like, people come over to me, and like, I've been in restaurants and they'll say, oh, like, look at him. Like, I was out with my friends recently, and he came, the chef, it was quite quiet, and the chef came out and was like, oh, he's brilliant, you know, and was speaking away to Anne, and he was like, oh, I've got like twin grandsons, they're X months, and I was like, But you can't say, I feel, sometimes if I'm having a good day, I'll say, well, actually, Aaron's our surviving twin, you know, and Logan, you know, should have been here. But there's some days where you just think, oh.
I was going to say, because I spoke about, actually, yesterday when I had Lex out, I spoke to somebody about Kai, and I was like, oh, I've not done that for a while. So, see, when he initially died, I was always like, seeing I bump into any other dog people, oh, I had 2 dogs and he just died, whereas you start not doing that.
Yeah.
But I think you'll always do it to a degree.
Yeah. And I think as well, it depends who the person, if you bump into someone and you think, no, I'm not telling you. Do you know, it does depend on who you're around as well.
Is there anything else that, I guess, upset you in relation to, like, getting the whole gifts and people maybe not acknowledging Logan, and is there anything else you want to add on that?
I think just basically make sure that the parents that do lose a baby, they have gone through the worst time of their life, and just, I think it's just acknowledging that baby and not being scared to acknowledge and saying, like, the people that maybe even sent me a message and said, you know, Logan is very much here, he'll always be here, do you know, he's just not like present here just now, he'll always be with you, do you know, and we're always thinking of him. Like, that just, you know, is, those little messages of support and acknowledgement actually just go a long way, do you know, when you feel, I think as well, going back to what we were saying earlier, when you feel quite lonely because you're in a situation that not many people go to because you've got a surviving twin but you've lost a twin, it feels quite lonely, but the people that acknowledge them is really, really good. And
I guess as well, like, every day, I know you're talking about milestones earlier, but I'm thinking, like, everyday moments you're looking at Aaron knowing that he was a twin.
Yeah, absolutely. And things happen, like, so recently Aaron had his Halloween party at Baby Sensory, and that was a major milestone. And then as a family we went to Glasgow, and then by the Tuesday it was just like, we did that on a Saturday, went to Glasgow on the Monday, by the Tuesday I put him to bed and that was me. I was like, oh my god, these are major milestones and Logan's not here and he should be here. And then comes the guilt, because you think, is it me? What happened? Was it me that caused it? And you're going through all the things in your head, and it's just because you're low, and if you're being like, if you take a step back the next day when you wake up and you think, there's nothing you could have done, Kara, there's nothing. And Andrew says this to me all the time, there's nothing we could have done. Do you know, it was just bad luck what happened with Logan, and we've loved, we continue to love him as much as we love Aaron, do you know.
And because you got the post-mortem, but there was nothing, was there?
Yeah, so basically when we had the post-mortem, so I guess maybe I should talk about the funeral as well first of all, because we had okay. That. Some people might not, I'd had the post-mortem after the funeral, but people might not appreciate this. So when you lose a baby after 24 weeks, I think it is, you get so after 24 weeks your baby has to go to the funeral directors, and you have to organise a funeral for them. So there's different things you can do. There's actually like and this made me realise that there's more common than what you think, do you know, in terms of baby loss. You can have like a group like cremation, so babies will go together, and some people like that because they think they're not alone, do you know, they can go together with another baby. But personally for Andrew and I wanted to have his ashes, and you can't, you know, when
it's the same as when the dogs die. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. No.
Aye, so it's the same thing. So it's like I could have put him in and it's just done, and it's free basically. Or I chose to have him done separately and get his ashes back. Which obviously does cost a bit of money, but I never looked at it the way you looked at it though. I never looked at it, oh, he's away with other dogs, that might have been quite nice as well. But I wanted him back. I wouldn't have got him back.
I know. And I wanted to, I felt like, in the nicest possible way, I wouldn't go to, like, if his ashes were scattered in the Remembrance Garden at the crematorium, I wouldn't go there to go and remember him. I'd rather have had him back, do you know, and been able, I've not scattered his ashes yet, they're in Aaron's wardrobe, they're in the same room together. I know that sounds terrible, but they're in the same room together, and I feel like, oh gosh, when am I gonna have the strength to do that? But
do you want to do that though?
I don't know. I feel as if like we've decided that if we do it, it'll be in Troon, because that's like a special place for us.
That's what we decided about Kai.
Oh my goodness!
We would do it because he loves Troon Beach, but I don't actually think we will scatter his ashes, because this is really weird for a dog, but he really loved being at home.
So it's nicer to keep him there, yeah.
Whereas Lexi loves being outside.
Yeah, so it would be different.
But he loved being at home, so I'm like, he loved these, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's around you, I get it.
But Troon is what because that's the place I would say he really likes.
Yeah. It's a special place for us. Like, we had a wedding reception there, and I've grown up going there, do you know, so it just feels like the right place. And we'll take Aaron there, do you know, and it's just, well, Aaron has been there, don't know why I'm saying we'll take Aaron there, but yeah.
You don't have to though.
No, I don't. And I was saying this to my mum the other day, because my granny's still in my wardrobe in my room, like at home. Like, my mum uses it as her wardrobe now, but she just takes it out every now and again and just talks to her, do you know, and I think, I haven't done that with Logan yet actually, but that it's quite comforting to know that he is with Aaron just now, do you know, and that's a big thing for me, I guess.
Can I ask why you put him out of sight?
I don't know, actually. Maybe it's just because Granny's in my wardrobe, and then that's what I felt like I should do. I don't know. I think the big thing is, like, looking back, I remember, like, the funeral for me, when I came out of hospital, do you know, and I had Aaron, and you're a mixture of emotions anyway. Andrew dealt a lot with the funeral directors, and what I would say is, when you were talking about cost, the amazing thing that we have in Scotland is when a baby passes away, you don't pay for anything. The funeral directors pay for it all. And they were so lovely, and they kept on phoning and saying, you know, like, they phoned and said, but that's us got Aaron now, do you know, Aaron, that's us got Logan, that's
God,
terrible.
I always think I'm going to do that, but you did it.
That's us got, it's so hard when you've got to, I know, that's us got Logan now, it's just like, you know, he's here. And I remember Andrew just saying, oh, that's great, and he hung up the phone, and I was like, were we not supposed to do anything there? He was like, oh, I don't know, I just thought the woman was telling me that you know, we should have been there. But she did have to phone us a couple of times, because every time she phoned, I was like, can't talk about it right now, Andrew, can't talk about it right now. And Andrew was like, but we're going to have to talk about it, Kara, because he's going to have to get cremated. He can't just stay in the funeral directors. And I think to me at that point, like, the funeral directors we chose is literally 5 minutes round the corner from our house. So for me to know that he'd had his post-mortem, you know, and he was close by, and I just couldn't. And I remember eventually, like, I remember Andrew coming back and saying, I don't know how he did it this day, but he went up to the funeral directors and he said, right, I had to choose a coffin, Kara, and I've chosen a white one because you had to pay for a pink or blue one. And I was like, Andrew, it doesn't matter what the cost is, but actually I thought a white was quite nice, because it was just like, I thought having a neutral one and not having the blue was just lovely.
For white as well, not for the cost. I would probably went for white.
Yeah. I don't think he meant that, but it was just the way that Andrew said it. Sometimes he
says
things and I'm like, but it wouldn't have mattered. And then I said, so that was fine, and he had arranged the date for when the funeral was going to be. And then I remember about 5 days before or something, I said to Mum, he needs flowers. What's Andrew done about the flowers? Oh my God, the flowers. And I said to Andrew, what's happening with the flowers? Because in my head, right, which is looking back now is completely stupid, but I thought he would be like in a hearse, like a, you know,
like an actual funeral. That sounds. Aye, you thought it was. So you did actually think it was going to be not a big funeral, but a funeral.
Well, it was a funeral.
And no, I know. Sorry, that sounds so bad. I didn't mean it like that, but.
In my head, I thought there was going to be like a hearse. And then like we would go in the car behind.
That's what I meant.
But in actual fact, when you have a baby, they're so tiny, the wee coffin's so tiny that the lady like sat with it, and I remember driving up, like the car driving up, and how these people do this, you know, and that's their job. Like she sat holding him like on her knee, like his wee coffin. And I remember getting out of the car and I remember thinking, oh my God, I felt guilt then, because they had said, do you want us to send a car for you both? But I had Aaron, and I was like, how am I going to get Aaron in the car? And do I take Aaron? And I'm glad I didn't take Aaron now, because I'm glad that we just got time together with Logan for the last moments. But I do feel guilt that he should have been on my knee. Do you know, I should have held him. But I'll forever be grateful for that lady that she did that.
Were you in the car with her?
No, we drove ourselves.
Oh,
so
right,
I could see the car coming up.
Makes sense.
So when she got out, so when I go back to the flowers, Andrew said we had to pay for the flowers, and I was like, why is he saying this again? I said, it doesn't matter what the flowers were. He needs flowers. So anyway, went down to the girl that did my wedding flowers. Every blooming thing about Florida. If you're ever looking for flowers, she's the one. And I said, right, okay, so how much? She said, I'll just do a beautiful spray and I'll put like different, like wee bits of blue through it. Will I do that? And I said, yeah. I said, right, how much will that cost? And she went, no, nothing. No, you've lost a baby. Do you know, like, you're not paying for that. And I'll always be grateful for her as well. And like, I remember when Logan came out the car and we went into the crematorium, and the woman, Andrew had decided they didn't, like before, he said no one's carrying him apart from me. Do you know that is, they had said, do you want us to carry him in, or do you want me? And Andrew said no, because like I can do so much for Aaron, but this is the one thing that I can do for Logan. And she, I remember when she'd said, now would you like one of these flowers to keep? And she took one of the flowers off, she gave it to me, and I remember just hugging me and saying, you're one strong mummy and daddy. Because I don't know whether like maybe people don't go to the crematorium, I don't know, but for me, people do. Yeah, and for me, I was like, I have to be there, because like I brought him into this world, so I have to see him going out as well. It's
like when obviously we decided the best thing for Kai was euthanasia that night, and she said, you can go out and wait if you want and we'll stay with him, and I was like, no, we'll stay here.
I know,
but like I know, like, my mum didn't stay in with her dog, and people, and actually my neighbour's dog died recently, and he said, yous are brave. He says, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just different people.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have left them.
I couldn't have either, looking back. And I did hum and haw a lot. I was like, should I go, should I not go? And at the end of the day, I just thought to myself, no, like, I brought him into the world, so I need to see him going out type thing. So I remember when we went in, and it's different, you know, when you go for a normal funeral, there's lots of people there, you know, and it wasn't like that because it was just Andrew and I. And Andrew carried him in, put him down, and they said to us, like, we'd just chosen, like, reflective music and, you know, they had that on. And I remember them saying, right, here you go, would you like to press the button, you know, for him to be committed or whatever? And I turned to Andrew, looked at me, and I turned to him and I went, because I thought, if someone just, like, presses the button for him to go, like, then I'll be devastated because someone's taken it out of my hands. But actually Andrew and I, like, had the time to, like, sit together, do you know, and then we said, right, we'll do it now. But a lot of people have said to us, how did you do that? How did you do it? But I guess I just didn't want it to be out of my control, do you know, I wanted to be ready for it type of thing. But that was the worst. I think that probably was the worst day out of the whole thing, because watching your husband carry your baby into the crematorium was just the worst thing that you could ever look at. You know, I've been together with Andrew, what's that now, like, I've been together with Andrew since I'm 19, 16 years. I've never once seen him cry, and that day he had wee tears running down his face, and that just shows that, you know, he's, like, guys don't do that, but it was just the hardest thing. So, but then you had to go home and you had to, like, pull yourself together because my mum was looking after Aaron, and she came in and she said, like, I remember going home and my house was just, like, so tidy afterwards, because she said, he's been great, you know, he's just sat there. But I remember coming in and she just, like, held both of us, you know, because she just knew how hard it had been. And up until that point, as I say, Andrew, he rarely cries, he doesn't show his emotions very much, but I don't think a lot of guys do.
They don't, and I think, like, you've mentioned that a few times in this, and I know this is slightly going off topic, but I would just want to say in this that, like, it's absolutely alright for guys to acknowledge, and I like that the world is becoming a place where there's more men's groups, more men are talking, because I think, you know, suicide in guys is huge, and I think it's because of this, not because of the way he handled it, but, like, they don't cry, or they're seen to not cry, they shouldn't show emotion, blah blah blah, and I think they should be allowed to.
But actually Andrew, I'm so proud of him, because he came to the counsellor from the very beginning with me, and we turned up the first day at the counsellor and we said, you know, the appointment letter had been, like, addressed to me, but we didn't know what to do because the two of, you know, we're in it together, do you know, and she said, I am so glad you came, because a lot of men don't, they just don't want to, like, deal with it. And he's not, like, he doesn't come to the counsellor anymore, because he very quickly, not quickly, but he got to an acceptance point before me.
Yeah, because he never carried them.
No.
And that's the big ins and outs of it. Like, and yes, he was his dad, but he didn't go through everything that you went through, emotionally, physically, mentally, do you know what I mean?
And he says it himself, but up until that point, I thought, how is he keeping going and not? And after the funeral, that's when it hit him. Do you know, you can tell. He was definitely, like, in his bed for, like, 3 days or whatever, and I just knew not to, like, he was just, I kept going out with Aaron and leaving him to have some space, and it was just like it floored him. Do you know, he'd gone for so long, you know, taking all of that, and it was just like he was wiped and he just slept.
It's quite common to happen to the person who organises everything as well, because it's like they've got a purpose. I know he still does have a purpose because you have another child, but it's like they've got a purpose all the way through it. And it's always after the funeral that people crash, because everything's done, you've organised everything, nothing else is to be done.
Because I remember vividly the days after, and I said to Mum, like, Andrew's in his bed, and she said, why don't we go out with Aaron and just leave him, like, so it's like there's no noise or whatever, and just that's quiet. Obviously all coming out of him. So yes, I think once I'd had that, then we obviously had the post-mortem then as well, so going on to that, we had the post-mortem, and I think going into that, I wanted to have, like, if I'd come out of that and something had come back, I had felt going into it that was going to be the best scenario for me. But I got there, and, you know, the doctor had said, that was going over it, said that everything's come back normal, other than the fact that where Logan had attached, like, in the womb, it just wasn't a good, she kind of described it as, like, say, like, half of him was kind of, like, on the womb and half of him wasn't attached so well. And the other thing that came back was that his umbilical cord was very coiled in comparison to a normal, or what the average umbilical cord was like. And she said there's nothing really...
supply may have been cut off as well.
She said there's nothing really, like, studies wise, they've never ever found that that's a reason for things. But she said she said herself, she said, I think about it very much like a garden hose. You know, if you put something on it, then the water doesn't flow through. And I guess it's the same with the blood supply. So yeah, nothing came back, and I remember at the end of it, Andrew saying, well, can I have like the post-mortem? She said, well, it doesn't make for good reading, Andrew. And he said, it doesn't matter, like I want to read through it. And I remember in the car we were looking through and we were like, they missed something, they've definitely missed something. But they hadn't missed it, but in your head you're trying to find an answer for the worst thing that has happened. So yeah, the one thing that I did take away from that post-mortem is, and I didn't really realise now, and Aaron is called Aaron for a reason, because but his name's Aaron is spelt like the island our Aaron, but biblical Aaron, like Aaron, means miracle, and for us he really was. And actually what she told me was, when I went back for that post-mortem, she said, I don't think you understand when we said like we'll take it week by week, how significant it was that Aaron had got to 35 weeks, because she said his brother had become like a foreign body, like that he had to kind of fight around. So he's actually a real miracle that he continued and kept going. So now I keep thinking, yeah, I'm so glad that we named him that, because he is a real miracle to have been able to fight until that point in time and survive. And half of me, going back to what you said earlier, I hope that he does, you know, Logan is always with him and he thinks to himself, yeah, I fought and I survived because I knew that my brother wasn't going to get the chance to. So
I don't know if you're ever going to have answers, that's all I was going to say. No. But also, I think there needs to be a part 3.
I think
that is a really good place to yes, but yeah. Do you want to speak about your Logan with you, or do you want to mention it next time?
No, I guess we can talk about it, because I guess we can, because we were talking about what keeps you going. So so when I was speaking about how people like haven't really acknowledged Logan, to me and Andrew, like, I don't understand how you can't, because Logan was very much a person inside of me. So we spoke about the heartbeat bears the last time, and I thought today, I even spoke to Julie. Gosh, Julie's come up a lot in this. But I spoke to her this morning, and I was like, do you think I should bring like Logan's bear? So like if I squeeze him, like his heartbeat will go. So hopefully you can hear it.
And you can show him to the camera as well.
This is Logan.
I think like it's amazing that they can create these things as well, Kara.
But this is like when I have a low day, I can just go in and like squeeze him and know like he's like close to me. Yeah. Because he was. Do you know, you hear that's a strong heartbeat, do you know, and for that to happen, it was really just bad luck. And so I guess the whole point of this and what I'm saying is you can do it, do you know. I know there's going to be a part 3 now, but
there's going to be a part 3. So if anyone wants to find you and chat to you, where can they get you?
On Instagram. So the Instagram handle is at Kara, Kara Rodie, RHODIE, because nobody can spell it.
I'll tag her in the bio as well, right? And is there anybody else you want to give a mention to?
Yeah, so I just want to say a big shout out to everybody that's messaged me so far, because the amount of feedback that came back from the last podcast was just amazing, and they were all asking for part 2 straight away. One of the girls in my work messaged me and she said, I was searching for part 2, so now they're going to be searching for part 3 but there will be another one. So just a massive thank you to all the wonderful people you don't even think we're going to listen to it. Like, I was on the phone to my brother this morning, he went, oh, you're going to do another podcast? He said, I'll listen to part 1. He said, it was a wee bit weird though, like, you know, when you were talking about trying for it, maybe that's just a wee bit too much information. So, you know, people you don't expect that have reached out has been really lovely. And I guess the other thing I should say is, if you have gone through baby loss or experience what I have experienced, there is charities that you can go and speak to. SANS is a particularly good one. They're really good support. And also if it's a twin loss, then Twins Trust is very, very good as well. They've got a very good bereavement team. So
thank you, Kara. And I just want to follow on from that to say thank you to everybody that shared the episode as well. It's one of the episodes that we've done in the last year, I think, that's reached the most people. Wow. So thank you so much to everybody that shared it. And again, if you are still listening, and you can resonate with this or you need it, and reach out to any of us. But if you can continue sharing to help us educate more women, then we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.